Hey there, and welcome back to another Miraculous Season 2 Retrospective review, where we go through old episodes I never made videos on and give my thoughts. Season 2's filled up with all the most iconic episodes it seems, and today's no exception as we arrive at Captain Hardrock. No sense in wasting time, so let's jump into it. We start off the episode on the houseboat, where the kids are all hanging out, getting ready for the first concert for the band, Kiddie Section. That is the name of the band, right? Or do they choose that name later on? Marinette's a bit nervous because Adrian hasn't arrived yet, and of course, she wants to be able to, well, not spend time with him, or even talk to him since this is season 2 and she's utterly incapable of that sort of thing at this point in time. Instead, I guess she's probably just excited to stare and mumble gibberish at him. Maybe in her clumsiness she'll end up knocking him off the boat and into the water. The possibilities are really endless. Here is where we get introduced to Juleka's mum, who comes up to Marinette, who's cleaning the boat in preparation for the concert, and tells her not to worry. They like a lived-in look, which I guess means that they love living in a dump. Just drop anything on the ground, that's fine. This is some peak cringy mum vibe she's giving off with the pirate voice she's doing. I get that they wanted her to be a pirate for a akumatized villain, but my god, did they need to go so hard on it? Also, I wonder what she's like in the original French dub. I know that the English language stereotype of a pirate has a very specific type of accent and way of speaking, but what's that stereotype in French? What does a French pirate stereotype even sound like? Do they even have one? Or is the idea of pirates speaking in a specific way just for English language films and shows? Moving on, we come to Adrian, who of course wants to go to the concert, but first he has a concert of his own. He has to perform to his dad in his room, and holy hell, the animation of his hands on the piano, whew, we have come a long way since then. So Adrian's doing his thing and then accidentally plays one wrong note, which causes his dad to get him to stop and ask whether he's been practicing at all. Adrian replies that he's doing the same exercises over and over again, and he's not going to get much better without being able to play with other people. At the very least, I think he should be able to have a tutor, right? He seems to be self-taught for the most part, as we never hear about any teacher for his piano. So I think that Adrian's idea probably does have a bit of merit to it, but of course, since his dad's an abusive dickhead, he tells him tough luck, aggressed to soloists exclusively. Oh, and since you played a single note wrong, you have no chance of going to hang out with your friends, since they're clearly bad influences. Man, Gabe is such a piece of shit. I feel like over time you somewhat forget how bad he was in these early seasons especially. There's not a single redeeming quality about him. Plus Natalie just standing there and going along with it. You can really tell they didn't intend for her and Adrian to be especially close at this point in time. That is clearly something they thought of on the fly. It was the right choice to change it though, because stuff like this, it's too depressing. Her eventually coming to his side was very cathartic. Adrian calls Nino to tell him the bad news, and this of course gets Marinette all upset and leads to her catastrophizing quite hard in front of Juleka's mum no less, about how she's never going to be with Adrian at this rate. I swear, this girl has no sense of boundaries or social inhibitions. Can you stop your trauma dumping in front of someone's parent? It's weird. I guess to try to distract her, Juleka's mum asks her to go and get Luka, who Marinette apparently doesn't know. Which, what? What's going on here, Marinette? Hasn't she been decently close friends with Juleka for years at this point? I get it if she simply had never met him before, but to be at their house and not have any idea who they were talking about at all? That's a bit much, isn't it? Bit of a friendship fail right there from Marinette. She heads down below deck to find him, and of course our first look at Luka is sitting alone on his bed meditating, which is very on brand. They also very quickly establish him as an alternate love interest for Marinette, having her stumble over her words like she does when she talks to Adrian. She introduces herself as Mama, and then as Mama Marinette, which makes him laugh, which in turn upsets her, and so he apologizes and says he's often bad with words. And this feels completely alien to his later characterization, where he seems to be, well, one, very kind and not at all mean like this, but also rather wise beyond his years, giving a lot of important words of encouragement to both Marinette and Adrian. But sure. I guess this is just a weird case of early seasons weirdness where they're still working out the kinks in the characterization and what they want the characters to be. However, a lot of the elements of his later wise hippie character do remain, such as him being able to feel what's in Marinette's heart and play her a song that reflects that. They briefly talk about how Jagged Stone's his favourite singer, and my god, this just reminds me, his parents are the worst for this. His dad is deadbeat trash, no doubt, but imagine being his mum, knowing that your son idolises this man that is his biological father. Maybe don't let him build up hero worship for a man that abandoned him. Clue him in. Get that child support, god damn. He then goes upstairs, and I gotta say, he's way more aloof here than I ever remember him being. We then cut over to Adrian watching the news, looking at all the different concerts that are being held across the city for this big festival. Just rubbing it in that all his friends are going to be out there having fun, and he'll be stuck at home working on his piano playing and waiting for his dad to deign him with his presence once again. He's very obviously pretty down in the dumps, and so Plag tries to cheer him up, first by saying that really, it's for the best, since all of the events are going to be televised so he can just watch from the comfort of his bedroom. To me, this would be the best way of cheering me up, but not Adrian because he wants to hang out with his friends, and he's been isolated for so long across his life. So Plagg takes it up a step. If he can't get Adrian to a friend's concert, he's going to bring a friend's concert to Adrian, and he sings him a song about Camembert and how much he loves it. I gotta say, I forgot about this scene, and it is just... it's the cutest thing ever. Plagg really is the shining light in this poor kid's life. We then cut back to their houseboat where they're getting ready for the practice for the gig, and Alia notices that Marinette's eyeing Luka a little bit and gives her a bit of a hard time with that. Of course, Marinette ain't having any of this and declares that only Adrian can make her go crazy. Yeah, we'll see. Milan then hands out some earbuds to protect him, and I thought, how loud could it possibly be? Well, pretty loud apparently. Luka strums his guitar once. And the sound wave is apparently so powerful that it defies all scientific reason and creates a shock wave that ripples across the water, sends cars flying through the streets, and sweeps people up like it's a tornado. Realistically, based on this, people have just been killed if it was strong enough to pick up cars and throw them. But surely, if it was that strong, wouldn't everybody on the houseboat probably be dead? A bad case of exploding head? Or at the very least, shouldn't they be deaf? Earbuds be damned. Plus, they should have gone flying whilst the windows everywhere should have shattered. How the hell did they get this speaker? Where'd they get it? The military? Jeez! Of course, this causes an immediate police response as they swarm the boat. And they really should do this. I feel like the episode here somewhat tries to frame the cops as being over the top and power tripping, but the more I think about it, the worse it is. Apparently the noise output was 160 decibels, which apparently can cause instant hearing loss in real life. Since he was far away, and I'm pretty sure it was his police car that we saw flip over, obviously there's been a brief time skip. And thus he has to have taken that noise reading from far away. And if it was that loud from far away, imagine how bad it was for anybody close by. Earbuds aren't going to save you now. These people would all be deaf. Then this lady has the gall to argue about her children's noise pollution being an expression of free speech? Is she legit with this? Now obviously, not long after this, Roger actually does go insane, and he starts power tripping and giving heaps of superfluous fines. But the noise complaint, and then the reveal that she's actually illegally moored on the Seine because it belongs to everybody, well, that changes things. She didn't get a permit, it seems, and so she's cheating the city out of hundreds of euros a month. Then she rips up his tickets, which makes him go even more crazy, so my sympathy for this woman is well and truly drying up by this point. Get her, Roger, get her! Of course, this attracts the attention of Gabe, who sends out his Akuma to turn her into Captain Hardrock. So, yeah, this lady's pretty hardcore. She's going to conquer the music scene of Paris and ensure that only she remains, and her first stop is taking on her ex, Jagged Stone. But not before she locks her own children and all their friends in the hold of her ship, whilst chaining them up. She also blows up a bridge along the Seine, so she's not taking any prisoners and is realistically racking up a damn big body count. She also uses what seems to be sonic weapons to disrupt the preparations for Jagged's concert. Yikes. Whilst Marinette's obviously chained up and unable to do anything, Adrian's free as a bird, and so when he sees the news report, he powers up and off he goes. I kind of figured that this would lead to Cat Noir coming in to save the gang and buying time for Marinette to slip away and transform, but nope, Tiki to the rescue instead. She sneakily undoes the chains holding Marinette and Luka, and then Luka's complimenting her, and she has her hand on his arm, and when you slow it down, kinda looked like he was slowly leaning in. Whew! Time and a place, guys! Meanwhile, the rest of the gang just sitting there watching and waiting. Pretty awkward for Juleka too, I'd suspect. The captain bursts in, and Luka and Marinette are forced to run to the next room. Luka creates a distraction after his mum kicks in the door, which makes it look like Marinette escaped out a porthole, when actually, she's hiding underneath the bed. Luka's dragged off and locked up again, whilst Marinette transforms into Ladybug and heads off to battle. Captain Hardrock's going nuts. She's destroying bridges with her laser cannon, eardrums with her sonic weapons, she takes out the XY concert, has Nightingale in her sights. Only for Cat Noir to intervene, making a grand entrance, and getting immediately chained up. Nice! Would it really be Miraculous without Cat Noir getting smacked around by the villain of the week? I don't think so. Good thing Ladybug's here to save his ass, right? Ugh. I do wonder how her yo-yo just is able to straight up shatter the metal chains, though. Good God. They then briefly have a little battle with the chains coming at them, and the animation for the chains launching at them, kinda sucks, but it is what it is. Here is where the good captain once again has absolutely zero chill. Roger is back at it with his police boats, and she straight up blows them up, and would have killed them all had Ladybug not used her yo-yo to give them a safe place to land. Also, lucky that none of them were crushed by the falling boats because it was a pretty close call. The battle continues, and I will say that for an early seasons episode, the combat's actually pretty decent overall. Usually I'd expect it to be pretty low quality, or good but really short. I think here though it's actually really high quality, it's really varied, and it lasts a good long while. Great episode for that. Whilst Cat Noir duels Hardrock alone, Ladybug sneaks down below deck and frees the prisoners, where she overhears Luka paying Marinette compliments and gets somewhat flustered. It's pretty cute to tell you the truth. I really do wish they'd let this one go on for a little bit longer in hindsight. Ladybug uses her lucky charm and gets a chain and arrives on deck just in time as Cat Noir's being defeated because of course he has, you can't make him look too good. Ladybug's the hero of this show, kids. She saves him from getting his Miraculous taken and the battle's back on until Roger comes out of nowhere. Okay, what a Chad this guy is. He manages to catch up with the ship using one of those pedal boats all alone. He calls her out openly when he could try for a sneak attack, which in turn buys time for Ladybug to escape. And he also knows for a fact that she has cannons that could kill him, but he keeps on going. Get him, Rog! Also, he gets sent flying, and he would have died if he hadn't landed in the bushes. But he gets back up. What a Chad! Ladybug frees Cat Noir in the chaos, and they hide whilst Hardrock sets a course for City Hall and blows up yet another bridge. Whilst Ladybug panics because she thinks her lucky charm sucks and she didn't manage to free her friends, Cat Noir proves himself rather useless, to be honest. Not only did he get owned twice this episode already, but when she's struggling, instead of helping her, he blasts her with a lame and somewhat creepy quip about her lucky charm shows that she's chained to him forever. How romantic. Ladybug figures out her grand strategy. They fool Hardrock into charging them, and then they chain her up to the compass. It goes haywire and the ship crashes into a public park, almost killing a couple sharing an ice cream. At the same time, holy shit, Roger once again was in hot pursuit and almost catching up to the ship with an inflatable ducky and a paddle. This dude needs a Medal of Valor for this. As if you wouldn't have just called it a day after being blown up by a cannon the first time, let alone the second. Anyway, Cataclysm, deakumatize, you know how it goes. Although, when he hits the Cataclysm, you see in the background that Ladybug's holding onto a yo-yo as if she's holding on for dear life. But why? The ship is grounded and on its side. Why is she still holding on like that? She could just land on the grass. I reckon it's safe, Marinette. The floor's not lava. Anyway, everything's reversed and then Gabe gives the lamest monologue he's ever done. For the sake of Neptune! Oh, come on, Gabe. Be serious, my man. We then come to the end game of the episode. Gabe plays a duet with Adrian and then allows him to go to the concert, which would have been much nicer if he was simply a distant parent trying his best, rather than the abuser you know that he is. Roger lets them play their concert music a little bit louder than the legal limit, but hopefully not that insane level that almost destroyed the city earlier on. Then Adrian turns up, and when they realize that he can play the keyboard, they instantly induct him into the band. There's no questioning as to whether he even wants to, they just tell him, "Welcome to the band!" Still though, Adrian meets Luka, and it made me realize that they need more moments. As the only person who knows who Cat Noir is, I feel that he would be such a good friend figure for him in the current era. Come on, writers, bring him in! We cut forward to the gig, and Rosa's singing is nails on a chalkboard, and in the wide shot, it seems that nobody actually came! Just the people who were already there, and who's shocked, considering that 3 megastars are also playing as well as an actual orchestra. Nobody's coming to see this band. So that brings us to the end of the episode. Great action, a great intro to Luka, even if he seems really different to his later characterization. Cat Noir's a bit of a chump all episode, which is a shame, but that's just par for the course, isn't it? So with all that being said, these have just been my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the episode? Did you like it? Hate it? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.